This episode of the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast is brought to you by the Podcast Reach System. Are you ready to exponentially reach more profitable customers? Launching and hosting your own show is your proven best solution for networking, client attraction, and establishing your celebrity expert brand. Visit www.podcastreachsystem.com and claim your rightful place as the leading star of your industry so you make a difference for your community, market, and audience. Welcome to the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast. Join us as we celebrate entrepreneurs, business creators, and brilliant minds who reveal what they are doing to make the world a better place by being part of it. Be sure to visit our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now sit back, lean in, tune in, get your notepad and 2 pens ready, and let's get started.
My name is Adam Homey. I'm your host, and I am honored by your wise decision to tune in and invest in yourself today. Right now, we are speaking with Tracy Hazzard, who is the founder of Podetize, host of The Binge Factor, and a former Inc. magazine columnist. Very exciting stuff, and she's a seasoned media expert with over 2,600 interviews from articles in Authority Magazine, BuzzFeed, and the aforementioned Inc. magazine column, and for multiple top-ranked videocasts and podcasts like The Binge Factor and Feed Your Brand, which was named one of CIO Magazine's top 26 entrepreneurial podcasts. There's a lot more you can learn about her. Just go to our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com if you're not already there, and find this episode. And with that, Tracy, welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
All right. So the first question we like to share here is, how does the work you do make the world a better place for your clients, customers, and society at large?
Well, I believe that everyone has a unique voice, brilliance, passion, just like the name of your show here, and it needs to be seen, heard, found, and rewarded so that it has a ripple effect around the world.
Yeah. Okay. So what is it that you actually do? You seem like a bit of a polymath.
Yeah, it looks like I do a lot. But at the end of the day, what I really do is I have a podcasting production and hosting service company. We are the biggest, the largest in the world for post-production. We do video to audio to blog to social share plus syndication. Yeah. But what we really do, if you want to really take a look at it, is like we're taking podcasting, we're turning it into YouTube plus ClickFunnels and lead pages all mixed together. So we're really working for your business at the end of the day.
That's an interesting thing. Now, first of all, I'm trying to put you out of business because I say in the Reach system, if you're spending more than 10 minutes on post-production editing, your entire process needs review. That being said, I'm being facetious about the putting you out of business part because getting the episode done is one piece of it. You go places where some of our reachers love to go after the episode is done. So
that's exactly it. When we saw post-production, we're not talking about the audio. I want you to record the audio and make it simple and do it perfect at first because you want to go to all these other places and do so much more with it afterwards.
It sounds to me like, and we may have you on one of our other shows at some time in the relatively near future for this reason. It sounds like part of what you do is fulfill a variation of what we call organic content multi-purposing.
Absolutely, exactly what we do.
Yeah, you caught on to the name, so you have an idea. So with that being said, as you can see, even I have questions. So what are some of the frequently asked questions you hear from folks who are on their way toward deciding to work with you?
So I think everyone who thinks about starting a podcast asks like the same 3 questions, which is, what mic should I use? That's like a typical question. And I say, less than you think, please. And how soon can I take ads? Which is really the wrong question at the end of the day. And how do I get on Spotify or Apple or, basically how do I syndicate myself? They just don't know that terminology.
These are the 3 Yeah, and these are some of the three of the simplest things we deal with in Reach. And I'll tell you, I participate in a lot of podcasting groups in addition to my own. And what microphone should I use is a question that gets shared too soon sometimes.
Too
I
soon,
tell the,
exactly.
I tell the story of I was in this one podcasting group, and this was around the time a few months into the bug being out there when we first got the first round of stimuluses, the ones that were called the Trump checks. I can't remember if they were 1,200, 1,400, 1,800. I don't know. I put it into crypto. But anyway, anyway, I was in one of these groups, and one of the members got their amount, whether it was 1,200 or 1,400. I can't remember exactly much it was. And they typed a list of all of this equipment that they spent the entire thing on. Now that payment was supposed to cover your rent and groceries.
And it could have.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it was actually for. Although there were no laws on what you actually do with it. It was yours to do as you please. And if you want to be stupid, go right ahead. But that being said, he bought all this great stuff. So somebody in the group, I'm not going to mention any names, replied to it and said, "Oh man, that stuff looks really cool. I love to geek out on tech stuff. But what's your podcast about?"
Right. Like, where's the topic? Where's the strategy? What are you going to do with it?
To his credit, he said, "Oh, shoot, I hadn't really thought about that. Guess I might want to think that through before I and that's part of the awareness I like to bring. And that's why we structure the Reach system the way we do it, because you have to figure out things like avatars and branding before you can make all these other decisions. And the fact is, whether or not you go all Hollywood with your stuff has to do with the decisions you make about your show flow and what you want to do with it. And one of the questions is, do you want to get picked up by something like Sirius XM? Do you want to get a TV deal?
Yeah.
If you're headed in that direction, yeah, you might want to have a studio level type setup. Otherwise, and this sounds like something that you and I both advise our clients on in different ways.
Right. But only 2% of shows will ever qualify for that kind of model. So what are you going to do in the meantime while you're trying to build that?
Exactly. Yeah, you got to have all kinds of things going on that all come down to money to make that happen, in my personal experience. However, if you get really lucky or really fortunate, or you just recognize your skills and opportunities when you see them, and something you put out there just catches wildfire, you might be able to short circuit that. It's like fingers crossed.
Viral takes effort and money. It doesn't actually happen in a viral way, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah.
Except for real viruses, evidently. So
Exactly. So what are a few questions you wish people would ask?
I wish people would ask me, how do I get people to binge on my show? How do I get them to listen again and again to every single episode? Because if they listen to you every single episode, they're going to want even more from you. And that is a business strategy for success. So that's the number one thing I wish they would ask. But I also wish they would ask is like, how can I use my podcast to sell whatever it is you're selling today? Like, how can I use it in my core business? Not how can I turn it into a side hustle? How can I do it to sell me? How can I do it to give myself more authority? How can I do it to sell more of my services, sell more of my products? How can I use it for that? That's the other question I wish they would ask. And then what does it really take to start a successful show instead of how do I start a show, right? How do I start a successful show? That's the question I wish they would ask.
Yeah, it's like I keep hearing my own voice in my own video trainings, which really illustrates how common sense some of this stuff is. I love that. I love that first one in particular. I think that is very important because we hear, oh, you got to get listeners and downloads. And I say, when you treat getting listeners and downloads as a result rather than as a goal, you're more likely to achieve it. So a goal could be how to get people to binge. And as a result of people binging, more people obviously listen, and more streaming happened, which translates into more downloads.
Yeah, my very first show, I ended up with 25,000 downloads a month in 5 months from it, and 100,000 before I hit a year per month of the show because it was such a bingeable show. And that's when I really discovered that power of those binge listeners.
Yes, precisely. So let's shift gears in the second half here. And this is where we get to have some fun. What would people who know you be surprised to learn about you?
So what would people know? So this is so funny. Most people have like these crazy stories. I actually have one of these crazy stories. I was kidnapped as a child in Egypt for about
Wow.
10 minutes, on a camel and ransomed back to my father. And that's because I was actually blonde, which you would never guess today. And that's what most people don't. I spent the first 7 years of my life blonde, and then it disappeared. Yeah. So you'd never guess that looking at me.
Yeah, I've known who you are for a couple years now because you do have a lot of presence online, and you've popped up every so often in discussion threads on my friends' walls and things like that. So even before we had the chance to connect through the Brilliance Plus Passion Project, I knew who Tracy Lee Hazzard was broadly. And I've seen some of the pictures. I never would have guessed you were a natural blonde at any point in your life.
I have 3 blonde daughters, and seriously, they think that they're related to each other and not to me.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So with all that, what hair color do you want people to tell others that you have? No, I'm kidding.
I'm comfortable being a brunette here. I'm comfortable with it. Yeah, I've come to terms with that's what my real color should be and is.
Yeah, I was actually making a pun on my very own next question, which actually is, what do you hope people say about you when you're not around to hear it?
I hope that people say that Tracy delivers on what she says she will do. So when she says she's going to do something, she has the integrity to actually do it. And that a lot of times we deliver even more than expected. Like that's our actual goal in our company, is to deliver more than you ever expected, to have that extra wow factor going like, wow, I didn't know I was going to get that. Wow, I didn't know I could get that. That's what I always like to do personally and professionally.
If you could go back in time and change anything you've done or anything you've experienced, one thing, what would it be and why?
I don't believe in regrets. And I've had a pretty charmed life, so it's hard to say that, like, oh, I really regret this. But I think I would worry less, about the things are going to actually work out, because, I can't tell you how many times in my companies, like over the time, you're like, am I going to make payroll? And then 5 minutes before, a big check that you didn't expect comes in, or something like that. So I've worried a lot about things that I probably shouldn't have.
I get you. And I've been there myself. I used to worry about things that were actually very small to the point where it would stop the clock. And I look back at some of this stuff, whether it's situations I allowed to go on or people that were causing me issues. And you know how many of those things I could have just walked away from?
That's right. That's right.
But I believe a lot of us have to experience things in order to know how to handle them. One of the things I say as part of my message is, for my listeners, I am their voice. So I sometimes share stories about myself where things that I did, things that I said, things that happened were not exactly my finest hour. And I share that because we all have those things. However, not everybody is in a position where they're feeling they're able to admit that or say that. So if I can open the conversation and I can share my learnings and how it's helped me evolve, then perhaps I can save somebody else from doing it the hard way. If I can give one person that shortcut, it's worth it for me to take that heat.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah. What famous person, alive or dead, would you like to meet, and what questions would you have for them if you had the opportunity?
So, I feel so like I could, as a podcaster, a lot of times I feel so like, oh, anyone's accessible that is alive today. So I got to go for dead here, because so, for me, it would be, I was thinking about this, Da Vinci, because I really want to know how someone can be so inventive and have so many projects going on and still end up completing them with high productivity and getting stuff done that change the world, right? Like, how do you manage to balance those inventive ideas and not go crazy in the process?
Well, he did something that I do, which is he didn't text.
There you go. That's right.
I have said this again and again and again. I don't text. You cannot have my cell phone number. And even if somehow you figure it out through some weird subterfuge and you text me, I'm still not going to answer.
Because I like that, Adam.
I probably won't even see it for like 3 days. I have an entire system using a combination of technology and mindset that enables me to actually be one of the most accessible people in the marketplace, as long as you follow one of these steps. Like if you dial the number for me that I tell people to dial and don't give me any guff over it, you'll make 10 of my phones ring. Literally, you'll make my computer devices all blow up at the same time. It will chase me. It will hound me. But if you insist on, I want your cell phone number so I can get your personal. No, because I happen to have this thing right in front of me, but it's turned off. Yeah, and when I'm home, I usually leave it on the charger if I remember to put it on the charger. You know how many times I found this thing and it was dead?
Well, that's why I tell people that, texting, most people don't have my cell phone number, but I tell people not to DM me. DM is it's dead end. Like that just doesn't happen.
This is where we differ. I actually do use the DMs in Facebook and LinkedIn. And here's the reason why. It's because I can get them on any device.
That's true.
My rule is very simple. If I use anything, I need to be able to go from this laptop to this smartphone to my iPad over there, to my desktop in the other room, to my other laptop, to my Chromebook, go seamlessly between these things, potentially have the same conversation with the person through 5 of those things without one BRB.
Smart.
If that cannot be done, then it needs to be something else.
I like that.
Yeah. What motivates you and inspires you to keep going when you're having a tough time or facing a challenge?
That's a great part for me about podcasting is like my week is broken up with so many interviews each week because I've got 7 shows that I'm running myself right now.
Yeah.
So, so there's always an interview going on and learning from those people that I'm interviewing from. It's like, first off, I'm going to show up for people. So just having that appointment on the books is me committing to and having integrity to show up for you. Right. So when that happens and I'm there and I'm interviewing, I'm listening, and that active listening inspires me to like, that's a great idea. I need to try that, or I need to tell my audience about this. And now I have this amazing Rolodex in my head of all of these people that have given great value and tips and ideas that I can share out there. So that, I know that I have like all this information and it's my job to dispense it. Right. So I got to get it out there. So that keeps me going and just inspires me every single day.
Yeah. So that's a message that comes from over your podcasting shop. Over at mine, we say that podcasting opens conversations, it closes deals.
That's right. Well, and we believe in that too.
Now that doesn't. Yeah. So again, great minds think alike. We're playing at genius level here, and it shows how common sense all this stuff really is.
That's right.
Yeah. So finally, and I know you have an invitation for our listeners, and I will share that with them. But in general, what is one action you would like our listeners to take as soon as they finish streaming this episode?
That their voice and what they have to say is way too valuable to stop themselves because they don't know the how to. There are so many people like you and me, Adam, out there who can help you get through the how-to stuff. That is not an excuse. Go out there and start sharing. If you're not sharing, you're not getting that feedback loop going to find out where the real value in your ideas are. And so that's really what I hope they go out and start sharing your ideas, sharing your thoughts, sharing that voice that you have.
Okay. So for anybody who is watching this episode on our website at brilliancepluspassion.com, www.brilliancepluspassion.com, here is where we want you to go. I will say it out loud for the people who are out jogging or driving. It's thebingefactor.com. Once again, thebingefactor.com. What is that? Tracy Lee Hazzard's podcast. Just go to it, visit it, and subscribe it. It features top brandcasters, and you also hear stories of how binge-able shows got started. Learn success tips, pro strategies, and tactics that you can apply immediately to make sure that you get seen, heard, and found in the noisy digital world. And with that, Tracy Lee Hazzard, thank you so much for being with us today. It's been an honor, and believe me, an education.
My pleasure, Adam. Thank you for having brilliance and passion moving and out in the world.
Thank you for tuning into the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast, where we celebrate entrepreneurs, business creators, and brilliant minds who are making a difference for their community, market, and audience. Remember to visit our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast.